So, in the words of Adam Pearce, it is official. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk will be the main event of presumably night one of WrestleMania. But let's talk about the storytelling in this segment real quick. So the segment starts, Nick Aldis is standing in the ring, and he clearly is not as stressed out as Adam Pearce was this past Monday on Raw in his segment with Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Shout out to the shirt. And Nick Aldis, I think it'd be real nice if you sent Adam Pearce a beverage, a few bottles, if you will, of said beverage. Now, what that beverage is, that's between you and Adam Pearce. I'll let y'all figure that out. But you know, despite the fact that it is very comedic, it's not safe for his blood pressure to be shooting up like this every week on Monday. He already ain't got good security. Help a brother out. Send him something to help ease his stress. But Nick Aldis is in the ring, and he starts the segment off by introducing one of the many stars in this segment, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. His music hits, our tribal chief comes out looking as handsome as he always looks, which really don't make no sense. It's a problem, because why do you come out every week looking that fine? I'm sorry, let me focus. The beautiful people of London serenade our tribal chief, and personally, I feel that is the most proper and the most appropriate way to acknowledge our tribal chief. It should be written in like a formal document, ways that you acknowledge your tribal chief, and serenading should be at the top of the list because London did that. Now, before Roman sits down, the wise man, Paul Heyman, the wisest of them all, fixes a mistake that Nick Aldis and company keep making when they're arranging contract signings that involve Roman Reigns. He moves our tribal chief's chair to its proper placement, the rightful location, the head of the table. The London crowd begins to serenade him again, and I love how Roman's head just began to like sway to like the tempo of the serenation. If that's not a word, let's make it one. And even his hand was like orchestrating it all, and I just love that little detail. It made me giggle and kick my feet in a way that only my tribal chief could make me giggle and kick my feet. And he really should be studied because he's the only person that brings that emotion out. But again, shout out to the London crowd. It just is another reminder of why I love international shows, because you pay your hard-earned money to go to these shows. You should be allowed to show your appreciation for the talent in the ring. And I love how they, again, became a part of the show, a part of the segment. I also love that the wise man Paul Heyman joined in on the serenation, because who knew that Paul Heyman had vocal cords on him like that? Yes, wise man. That's how you acknowledge your tribal chief. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. It was beautiful. After our tribal chief was properly acknowledged, he gets to the second task on his agenda, and that is putting pen to paper and signing the contract. Once he puts his signature on the paper, Seth Rollins' music hits, and he comes out wearing a suit that actually doesn't look as atrocious as the previous outfits that he has worn. It actually was a nice suit, and I don't compliment Seth often. He lucky if I say anything nice about him at all. It actually usually takes anywhere from 5 to 7 business days for me to find something nice to say about him. So again, you can take that compliment with the grain of salt that I'm gonna put on it, but I give credit where it's due. Nice suit. Now watch him mess up on Monday and wear something stupid. The people of London decided to serenade Seth Rollins as well. Again, they're nicer than me. Because just like Paul Heyman, I don't like that damn music. And don't. But to each their own. Personally, I was sitting there looking at Seth the same way that Roman and Paul were looking at him. Annoyed and unimpressed. AF. See, I can't say nothing nice about him. It's not in my nature. It's just not. But he did make a point. Seth did tug at my heartstrings a little bit when he brought up the memory of all those years ago before he messed everything up. Him and Roman did arrive at the O2 Arena in a helicopter. I remember that. I remember a lot of memories that they created together. But again, he messed that up. But Roman didn't let him get too far back into memory lane before he deaded all of that. Our tribal chief said, ain't no us, ain't no we, ain't no big three. It's just me. Roman said, it was me. I'm the reason we're on Netflix. I'm the reason we're signing billion-dollar deals. You may call yourself the architect, but I was on the ground doing the work. It was me, not you. And Seth counters him and says that Roman's mindset and ultimately his ego is what is blinding him from the true problem at hand, the problem that is CM Punk. Cue the cult of personality theme music. Now, most of the time that Roman and Seth were out there, Paul was kneeling next to Roman. But as soon as Phil comes out, he stands to his feet, almost to acknowledge Punk's presence, which should be noted. Because obviously there's a respect between Punk and Paul. He was once with Punk before he was with Roman, which Roman doesn't like to be reminded of that. But I mean, it is what it is. And it also kind of reminded me, and this is a bit of a side note because we'll get more into the segment, of course, but the relationship between Punk and Paul is different between the relationship of Roman and Paul. Roman and Paul's relationship seems almost like a hierarchy of sorts. Roman is the tribal chief, and Paul Heyman is his wise man, but the tribal chief is here. The wise man is, I feel, a little lower than that. I guess, of course, he's his special wise man, his councilman, but it's almost like a boss to worker type view, whereas Paul and Punk, I feel like, have always been here. And that may play into this favor that we'll get to. Anyway, Phil makes his way to the ring. He gets into the ring. He spits his gum out, says, I'm here to sign a contract. He sits down. He starts flipping through the paperwork. But our tribal chief and the USA Network are on a bit of a time crunch. Now, of course, this show, I believe, was pre-taped, but I live on Eastern Standard Time, and the show goes off at 11 Eastern Standard Time, and it's about 10:50 something. So our tribal chief makes sure that he reminds Punk that you need to speed this up. Put pen to paper ASAP. Roman tells Phil, me and Punk are on the first name basis. He tells him what you're looking for is on page 4, clause 5. Sign it. Hurry up. And there goes that ego of our tribal chief once again. Roman thinks he knows what this favor is. So as he is commanding or trying to command Punk, then, they exchange glances, but I paid more attention to the silent exchange between Punk and Paul Heyman, because there was a bit more tea in that. Roman tells Paul to tell Punk what he thinks he wants to hear, and that is that their triple threat match will main event one of the nights of WrestleMania. And just to strip the kayfabe away just a little bit, it was a truly beautiful moment between Punk and Paul Heyman. Paul kisses him on the forehead. Punk is shedding some tears. And I just think, it was a beautiful moment. And considering how many times the main event spot was stripped away from Punk when he was with the company previously, it's just nice to finally see him get those main event WrestleMania flowers. Now, while there are tears of joy coming from the left side of the table, a egotistical smile at the front, off to the right, Seth is seething. Now, Mr. Rollins, Mr. Monday Night Messiah. I hear they used to call you that. I wasn't watching the product at the time, so, and I would have never called you such a thing. But you're not a very happy WrestleMania main eventer, now are you? Yeah, I understand exactly what you were saying. You do work with a bunch of crybaby children. And he's the whiniest, bitchiest one of them all, isn't he? Yeah. What? Am I lying? But you know what, Seth? I could see why you're angry, because you did your absolute best to make sure that Phil did not get a main event match at WrestleMania. And despite your efforts, you are one of the reasons why he is going to be in this match. So you really only have yourself to be angry at. So while Seth is over here mad AF, face just as red as the OTC logo on Roman's shirt, and Punk is over here emotional, really relishing in the moment of finally getting the main event, Roman, again, though it's very egotistical, is all smiles, because in the midst of all this, Roman is going to be a 10-time WrestleMania main eventer. And if that was the favor, then that's easy. Because again, Roman is the main event regardless of who stands opposite him. But that is not the favor. Punk reminds Roman, or he's so eloquently called him the big dog, and we know the big dog doesn't exist. He never existed. He's dead. But he reminds him that's not the favor. And as the screen goes dark and the show goes off, Roman looks at Paul, and you can see him questioning Paul. And, I don't think we're going to find out what this favor is until Mania. And a lot of people are speculating that Paul's going to turn on Roman, which I'm just preparing myself for now, because you're not going to swerve me two times in that short of a time period. You're just not going to do it, Triple H. So what do y'all think the favor is? Let me know in the comments below.